Ah, Smart Water, now in a sleek can.
This feels cool, literally.
Perfect for social gatherings and on the go.
Should I start wearing turtlenecks?
One sip at a time, friend. Smart Water cans, for those with a taste for taste. Get yours today.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
The following contains descriptions of physical violence, sexual violence, and graphic descriptions of autopsies. Hey listeners, welcome to episode 84 of TGIC Podcast and episode 1 of Two Girls Investigate Crime. Oh my god, so exciting!
I'm Jillian.
And I'm Izzy.
So for those of you who didn't already know, we are currently in the process of changing the name of our show. In April, Izzy turned 20, and then I just turned 20.
Yeah.
So we're not
both
teens
20.
anymore.
Yeah.
So our name did feel a little like a lie.
Yeah, it did feel a little like a lie, and we've been thinking about this change for a while.
Yeah, because we thought about keeping the name, because obviously we did start as teens, the show was entirely made by us as teens. Sorry, I don't know, I just had a stroke trying to say that, but it was made by us as teens. Mm-hmm. So we thought about keeping the name, but we kind of wanted the show to grow up with us in a way, so I don't know. And then
it has grown up with us.
It has grown up with us.
I mean, we started it, we were 15.
Yeah. So the name should too, now that we're 20. And then, we've done half of our branding as TGIC too. So we're obviously we have to keep that part.
Yeah.
So Two Girls Investigate Crime.
And I feel like it's really fitting. I don't think that it's that much of a big jump.
Yeah.
It's also still kind of rolls off the tongue.
Not as, it's going to be an adjustment. I'm so bad at changing things I say.
I know.
Do you know how many words I probably mispronounce consistently just because that's how I've always said them?
No, I get that.
I'm bad at it. But we're gonna try.
We're gonna try
really
now.
Hard. We're two girls that investigate crime, not teen girls.
Because then we were thinking 20-something girls investigate crime, but then that was too wordy.
I know. I thought it was really cute, but it is wordy.
Yeah, it was just already teen girls investigate crime was wordy, and then two girls investigate crime. Too many long words. But our email will be staying the same.
Yes, because Google doesn't let you change Gmails.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Everything else is in the process of changing them.
Yeah, including merch.
Yeah,
just everything.
Yeah, we're in the process of getting everything changed, so we appreciate your patience because I'm sure that there's something we have forgotten and we'll figure out later that needs to be changed.
Exactly.
But yeah, for the most part, I think everything's already been updated, so yeah, it's cool.
And also, I feel like we feel so professional and so 20-something in our fancy recording studio. It's actually just my living room.
It's just Izzy's living room.
Yeah, but we're in the process of selling our house, so this is staged.
But doesn't it look like we're in a podcast studio?
Yeah, and we're at Barstool or something.
No, genuinely, we should just leave the mic out when you have showings for your house and try to sell it to a podcaster. Be this is the podcast studio.
The recording studio.
It's amazing.
Right, so yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, so a lot of changes happening right now. Mm-hmm. We're maturing. Not really.
Sort of.
I still feel like a teenager, but that's fine.
I do too.
But yeah, we are still TGIC. We're just two girls now, not teen girls. Yeah. But yeah, let's get started with some background for this really mysterious case.
Yep. So just some background on the building where this case starts. So A group of construction workers were working on breaking down a building in the Manhattan neighborhood of Hell's Kitchen. The building 301 West 46th Street had only a few straggling tenants left by about 2003, and the building was known to house sex workers, drug addicts, and other struggling persons who were just trying to get by at this point. The storefront in the building had many masks in the previous years, an adult video store, a restaurant, a dive bar, but most notably, this building had been the location for the infamous music club, The Scene, in the late 1960s. Housing performances from notable bands and singers like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, and Morrison. It was like a big deal.
Fleetwood Mac performed there.
Really?
Yes, like before they were like famous.
Oh my god.
I was like reading up on this place and like I was like, whoa, that I know that one.
Yeah, so a lot of lore in this building.
Yeah.
By 2013, however, the building was set to be demolished and replaced by a new hotel. February 10th of 2003, once starting the demolition process, construction workers noticed a raised, poured concrete slab behind the coal furnace in the basement. This seemed odd and kind of out of place to the construction workers, and also like working in New York, I'm sure you see a bunch of weird shit, but this was really like, they were like, why is this here? So the box itself was 6 feet wide and 5 feet long and just about a foot high. One of the construction workers decided to tap the box and see if it was hollow, and it was. So they took a sledgehammer to the side of it. Once they broke through the concrete, they were shocked when a skull rolled out of the concrete remains.
Not to be dramatic, but I think I would have shit my pants.
Oh, I think I would have screamed. I think I would have passed out.
I don't know. That must have been so disorienting. Like, especially because it's like, literally all they're breaking down a building, and then they're like, oh, let's just take a sledgehammer to the hollow box. Like,
they were not expecting anything
no
there.
one thinks the skull's gonna roll out. Like, they probably thought they found, like, I don't know, buried treasure or something.
Yeah, I don't even know. So the construction worker, first, they broke through the concrete, and there was just, like, a bunch of, like, remains in there. So the construction crew promptly called the police, and the NYPD determined that there had been, in fact, a crime committed here.
Really?
Shocking. Shocking.
Skull inside concrete.
So forensic anthropologists discovered the skeletal remains of a young girl, or not young, but teen girl, who was placed in the fetal position with her hands and feet hog-tied together with pantyhose and an extension cord.
Oh my god.
And the cord was also wrapped around her neck. And she was also, like, wrapped in a carpet. The girl had been wearing a 32A sized bra, pantyhose, and a glittery dress at the time of her death, which is just, like, so horrific. I don't know.
I just feel like there's so many, like, components to the way that she was buried that make it, like, every little bit is just so much more, like, terrifying.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna get a little bit more into the investigation. So when investigators initially arrived, they determined that, like, the body had been cemented sort of, like, inside of this carpet. That's like, there was just a lot of components of the way she was buried. Forensic investigation determined that the body likely belonged to a girl between the ages of 16 and 21, and that she had died due to strangulation. She was wearing a gold ring at the time of her death, and it was engraved with the initials, like, PM and then, like, the lowercase c, G.
Really unique initials.
Yeah, I think so. So also buried with her there was a dime from 1969, a green plastic toy soldier, and a 1960s style Bulova watch.
Okay.
The dime thing kind of is, like, so interesting because, like, even if it wasn't, like, hers per se, it does add, like, a timestamp because obviously she had to have died after 1969 in order for it to be, like, cemented in there with her.
Yeah.
But it's such an eerie way of timestamping something.
Yeah.
She was between 4'10" and 5'4" in height.
That's a crazy gap.
I think so.
6 inches?
That's a pretty big gap.
Yeah. I don't know. I read that and I was like, that's kind of...
Because, like, how tall are you?
5'5".
Okay, so I was gonna say we would both fall in that, but I guess we wouldn't both fall in that height category.
Close
but, like,
enough.
we don't. Yeah, close enough. But, like, we don't look like we're the same height.
No.
Yeah, that's nuts. She most likely came from a middle-class family due to her extensive and expensive dental work. Yet her front teeth also had like signs of decay. So there might have been like a potential separation from her family that is often seen with like runaways or like people who like lived a more like wealthy, not like wealthy middle class upbringing, and then at some point went elsewhere.
That's always what's so interesting to me is that like dental work is so telling.
It is.
Like how many cases have we had where it's been like that has been the linchpin for an investigation, being like this like Lady of the Dunes, where it's like this person has probably like thousands of dollars worth of dental work, but like they're like poor now. Like you can tell so much by people's teeth.
There's also, I think there's ways to see like what kind of water people were consuming based on their teeth
and their diet.
Yeah, and then like determine where they were living. It's crazy. It's so crazy like what technology can do with DNA now. So based on the dime, investigators suspected that she was likely killed in the early 1970s. Obviously at some point post 1969, but that still kind of creates like a big gap between the 1970s and 2003 when she was found. So the police began investigating one of the few leads they had, which was the building that she was found in, which we kind of touched on earlier. During the late 60s, the building was a like rock and roll nightclub that we talked about called The Scene. And it was owned by this man named Steve Paul, and many popular artists performed there. But the club did end up closing, I believe, in 1969. So roughly around the time of her death, suspected death.
Yeah, it did not last very long.
Yeah.
I think there was a bunch of stuff about like how like it was kind of shady.
Yeah. Building sounds shady. Like there was just a lot of stuff happening there.
Bad juju in there. Yeah. They need to like sage that plot of land.
So over time, more leads were uncovered. However, they continued to like kind of mess up the timeline of the case. There was a bag of rat poison found in the concrete, which was from 1979. A clothing label from the International Garment Workers Union, which was non-existent until the late 1980s. These clues led investigators to kind of like shift their timeline since they didn't think the girl died in the 1960s as they originally thought. So their scope of her birth year kind of changed to after 1958. And then they would later learn that this was wrong too. So like it's kind of just hard to like figure out clues. Like we have all this modern technology now, but like back then they couldn't just like test her DNA and like figure out.
Yeah, like I'm
especially
sure
based on a skeleton, they couldn't do anything. Like
could they like timeline like can't they do that now where like with fossils they can be like, oh, this is from 2 million years ago? Like, could they not do that?
But I think the problem with like fossils is that like you're still getting a really wide range, and here they're trying to find a very specific like couple of years. Yeah. But like as far as dinosaurs go, they just put them in like an era.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
I'm not like a paleontologist.
I'm no paleontologist.
I'm not a
paleontologist, but you know.
But I did watch Friends. Ross was a paleontologist.
Yes, he was.
Further testing by the NYPD also misled them to believe that the girl was of Irish descent and most likely from the Midwest. They thought like this just because like there was this area of Hell's Kitchen where a lot of runaways from the Midwest were often like would go to Hell's Kitchen, or they were trafficked in that area. If they ran away to New York, they would eventually be trafficked in Hell's Kitchen. So they kind of like thought she may have been from the Midwest, but that was solely just based on like the area at the time. Yeah. Eventually, there were no further new leads, and the case went cold in 2003.
Okay, I'm going to start talking about identification. So, at first, due to the state of the skeletal remains when they were discovered, further testing on them was not possible. Like, they just didn't have access to it. It wasn't a thing. So, once tests became more sophisticated, they decided to try and create a profile from the minuscule amount of DNA which remained from the bones. So after about a year of consistent efforts, they succeeded in making a solid profile for the Midtown Jane Doe. In March of 2023, the unit of the NYPD ran the panel through CODIS, which is the national DNA database utilized by the FBI, and there were no matches. However, in 2022, Linda Doyle joined the NYPD on full contract as a veteran genetic genealogist. And from studying like DNA public database results, which were like public knowledge, Linda Doyle found a first cousin match on the paternal line for the Jane Doe, as well as a first cousin removed on the maternal line. And after scouring historical records, she determined that the only name which intersected both familial lines was a girl named Patrick McGlone. Patricia. Patricia, not Patrick.
You go, a girl named Patrick.
A girl named Patrick. Not saying that a girl can't be named Patrick, but her name is Patricia.
You just like changed the letters.
I like fully misread that. So some background on Patricia McGlone. So Patricia Kathleen McGlone was born in April of 1953, and she was only 16 years old at the time of her death.
This also, I feel like, I just want to point this out, like the initials on the ring match her like name.
Yeah, which is a unique name.
It's like a unique initials, and like they weren't able to like trace that to any sort of missing person before.
Yeah. So she grew up in Park Slope, Brooklyn, and attended Catholic school in Sunset Park. Her father passed away in 1963, and her father's name was not Patrick.
Everyone's just named Patrick.
Her father's name was Bernard McGlone, and her mother, Patricia Gilligan, were married on June 23rd, 1952. This is interesting. I feel like this is not really related to the case, but
it's odd.
It is odd. On their marriage certificate, Bernard said that he was 45 when he was really 50, which is like not that big a difference. Like, why are you doing that? And McGlone said that she was 21 instead of 20.
Again, why would you do that though? Like, that doesn't change anything about getting like married and like laws.
Exactly. And it's like, okay, like even if you were 21 and 45, not that big a difference. Sorry,
your cat came to say
hi. Cat is over here. And also, if you hear any like weird snoring or sniffling, that is my dog, who is also in the corner of the room. Anyways.
Oh, I would pick Oliver up, but I don't want to disturb his peace. He's very cute, though. I would just wanted to tell the camera he is very cute.
He is very cute.
He's also like not often friendly, so the fact that he just came and said hi to me, that's why I had to stop what I was doing. Like that, I don't think that's ever happened to me.
Anyways, speaking of other weird things, her father had actually been married and had children. Like had two separate marriages where he had other children, and I think in both of those marriages did he cheat on the other woman? There was like weird
he married, I know this for sure, when he married Patricia's mom, Patricia Senior. When he married Patricia Senior, he was still married to his previous wife, which is potentially why he changed the ages.
Yeah,
I don't know why she changed her age. But like to disconnect him from it because he was still married to someone else and like still had basically this was like his secret family.
5 immersive worlds, 1 amazing theme park. Get ready to explore the all-new Universal Epic Universe featuring the wizarding world of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, Super Nintendo World, How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk, and Dark Universe. Epic Universe, now open at Universal Orlando Resort. Our universe will never be the same. Tickets and packages on sale now at universalorlando.com.
Hello, Nigel here. I couldn't help noticing that you're still awake. Now, I'm an owl. I'm supposed to be up at night, but you need your sleep. So if it's your allergy symptoms that are keeping you up, here's a word to the wise. Try Xyzal. You see, Xyzal works fast to relieve sneezing, runny nose, itchy watery eyes, and itchy nose and throat. And it keeps going strong for 24 hours, so you can get your sleep and wake up refreshed and ready for a productive day ahead. Be wise, all. Take Xyzal at night. Use as directed. Starts working in 45 minutes.
Okay. And then he eventually like left them.
Crazy. It's crazy how people can do that.
Right?
Anyways, Patricia was only about 10 years old when her father died, and while she did attend school for a few grades, by the time she was in 6th grade, her attendance grew really sporadic, to the point where she only attended about 9 days of school in the last year that she was attending. In the years following her father's death, Patricia lived with her mother's boyfriend, George Leyburn, who was actively a married man, married to someone else.
Which seems to be a pattern.
Yeah. In their lives. And her half-brother on her father's side, Bernard McGlone Jr.
So this is the son actually from his second marriage.
Okay.
And then now he's living with his stepmother and her new boyfriend that lives there. Okay. So, sorry, I'm going to give a little background on her stepbrother, or her half-brother too, because that's also kind of just an interesting aspect of her life. I'm not sure if it's entirely relevant, but he's been unable to like track down, not that I think that makes him suspicious, but it's been so hard to track down anyone in relation to her case. Like, he may know something, at least just about when she went missing or something, but like people have been unable to track him down. So if anyone knows anything, here's a little bit.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Or don't let us know.
Yeah, let the police know. No, we don't. Yeah.
We don't do that.
Okay. So a little background on Bernard McClone Jr. He also had a strange life, which again seems to just be a pattern in this family. He lived with his stepmother and her boyfriend, who claimed they were very bad people. Okay. But with no other detail. He dropped out of school before turning 18, and he lied about his age so that he could get a job. While working at this first job, he was in some sort of like workplace accident where he lost his thumb and part of another finger. Ooh. So after that, he moved to Massachusetts and started working at a dairy farm. Then in the fall of 1969, Bernard began going by a different name, Leonard Diamond. What?
Leonard Diamond?
I'm not sure if that's like a person whose identity he stole or if that's a fake name.
Just a fake name.
It kind of sounds like a fake name.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm going to start going by Candlestick Gemstone.
So he started going by this new name, Leonard Diamond, and he claimed that he had a degree from Ithaca College, despite the fact that he didn't finish high school. Had no evidence that he went to Ithaca College. With his fake degree, he got a job as a bookkeeper for the First National Stores and lived in Jersey City, New Jersey. In the following months, he stole a total of $62,000 from his employer and fled town. Every month when he would do the like taxes and whatever, he would like take a little off for himself. Eventually, they caught on when it reached $62,000,
which was like a lot now.
Yes,
a lot then, but even more now.
Even more now. So after he gets caught stealing, or actually, I think before he got caught with stealing the money, he flees town. Okay. He's eventually arrested on July 11th of 1970. He claimed that he was arrested due to his step-parents' schemes, but then, again, provided no further information.
Okay, yeah.
None of these people are seeming great people. I'm not saying his step-parents are, not guilty. I'm just saying I don't know what his basis for that was, so I don't know.
I feel like he's holding on to a lot of trauma.
I think so.
I think he needs therapy.
I think so. So after his arrest, he changes his name again. He stole his deceased cousin's identity. Yeah. And he purchased a fake college degree from a well-known degree manufacturer. And so he has this fake degree in engineering now. He eventually moves around the country several times, lives in different states. He ends up marrying a single mother who he met through an ad in the newspaper.
Okay.
So eventually, we know some of this information because eventually he shared some of the truth about his life to his family. So some people kind of were we were able to figure out some of this. However, at no point when talking to his family, he never mentioned having a half sister,
which is interesting. He lived with her for part of his life.
And also it seems to me that he did mention living with his stepmother and her boyfriend. So at that point when you lived with Patricia at some point and then she went missing. Not missing, but even if she stopped living with you. It's just it is interesting. I'm not saying it's suspicious. It kind of sounds like I'm hinting it's suspicious. I don't think so.
It's just an interesting
It's
thing.
just there's so little information on her, and even this is someone who she lived with, and he could potentially still be alive. He probably is. We don't know what name he's going by. We don't know. So there's just such little information about herself because there's so few people connect. No one's traceable to her basically.
Yeah. So interesting. Anyways, at the time of her disappearance, her mother believed that she had just ran away. She dropped out of school in May of 1969. And police actually discovered that she had been married earlier in 1969 from school records, which her mother had signed off on because it was 1969. But she was only 16.
Yeah, so her mom had consent, but she did consent to her 16-year-old getting married, so I don't know.
Investigators also suspected that she may have been pregnant when she dropped out of school, And this is based on school records, which say that she dropped out due to a quote-unquote medical event.
And that was pretty commonly stated when people dropped out of school at the time for being pregnant.
Yeah. And they also use the toy soldier found with her body as evidence of this, so it's kind of a bit loosey-goosey.
I don't understand that. How would you say
either.
that a toy soldier would confirm that she had a baby?
I mean, maybe like, oh, the baby was playing with a toy soldier, but like, where's the baby?
Babies don't play with toy soldiers, though.
No.
They're like a choking hazard.
And like, I remember in some of the research we were doing, they were saying that the baby would be about like 11 months old. And that baby would not be playing with a toy soldier at 11 months old, I don't think.
Okay, see, and like, I don't even get an age. Like, when I was looking into this, like, I don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, the toy
And
soldier
also,
thing, like.
Her husband was old AF.
Yeah, we'll get to
her husband. Like, this is all just so weird.
It's so strange.
It's baffling.
Like, there's not even any solid evidence that she was pregnant or had a baby. It's just like based on this idea that she dropped out because of like a medical event, and then they're like I'm gonna actually just take out the whole toy soldier thing. I don't understand why. The police were literally like, yeah, we think that kind of confirms the theory that she's pregnant. How on earth?
And also, she's 16.
Maybe she had a toy soldier.
Maybe she had a toy soldier. I don't know. I don't know what I was doing when I was 16. How old are we? What year was that? Sophomore year?
Like end of sophomore, beginning of junior?
I don't know.
You probably had a toy soldier. Who knows?
Maybe. Anyways, I feel like all of this just introduces way more questions. Like, where's her kid? Who was her husband? What was she doing? Why did she have a toy soldier? So, let's go to some suspects and theories.
Okay, so the first suspect theory situation is pretty brief because I think in this case it's kind of obvious what is more plausible and what's not plausible.
Yeah.
So the first suspect is this group called the Westies.
Oh, the Westies.
Between the 1960s and late 1980s, an Irish-American crime group operated in this like particular neighborhood of Manhattan in Hell's Kitchen. Okay. They were responsible for like racketeering, drug trafficking, and contract killing.
What is racketeering?
I don't know. It's some fancy word. I think it has to do with money.
I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, I know it has to do with money. It's like a legal word that I should know.
Racketeering meaning conspiring. Two or more people conspiring to engage in a pattern of illegal activities for profit. So
money. I was right.
Yeah.
It's like mafia type stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of the mafia, this group also had really close ties to the mafia. Sometimes they were like beefing, sometimes they were chill, like sometimes they helped each other out, but they had
Westies was the mafia.
They had pretty close ties.
Yeah.
The FBI suspects that the group was responsible for killing between 60 and 100 people between 1968 and 1986.
Damn.
How they're unsure about the 40 people, I'm not really sure. 40 people seems like a lot, but
yeah.
Anyway, that's a lot of people that
there's a lot of people
suspected of killing in the same time period that Patricia died. But other than the connection between the Westies and like the location of the body, there is not really much evidence suggesting that the Westies were responsible for Patricia's murder, but it's like not totally out of the question.
Yeah.
Like it kind of makes sense. Like it also seems kind of unlikely.
Yeah, but you know, like, I don't know, maybe like, it's weird because like her manner of death.
That's the thing. I would want to know more about how they typically went about killing people.
Yeah, because like, why would they strangle a girl?
This seems really like extreme for just like a contract killing.
Yeah, and then like pour her in concrete.
Yeah.
Like nobody expected to ever find her. Like they did that with the intention that nobody would ever find her.
Like if they were just doing a hit on someone, like I don't think they would go to that like extreme of length.
And also, why are you putting a hit on a 16-year-old girl?
That's a great point. So this leads me to the next suspect, Donald Grant. So Patricia's school dropout records from May of 1969 said that she was about to marry a 32-year-old man named Donald Grant. Now that is like double her age.
Yeah.
Literally, it is double her age. So investigators start like looking to confirm this, and they find further records to confirm support this claim. So on May 7th of 1969, 16-year-old Patricia McGlone married 32-year-old Donald Grant at the Church of All Nations in Manhattan, which also seems a little random to me because she did live in Brooklyn. I know that's like a really stupid thing to be like weird about, but like
Like, why is she getting married in Manhattan when she's in
But like,
Brooklyn?
I know they're not far. I literally know they're not far. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm not, like, I've been to New York. My parents grew up there. Like, I'm not a tourist. I just, like, it seems random. It seems random to me to, like, go to Manhattan to get married when you, like, live in Brooklyn. And her mom attends the wedding, so, like, I don't.
Yeah.
But whatever. It seems like they just went to some random church. That's why I'm being, like, nitpicky about it. Because, like, don't, like, she went to Catholic school. Weren't there places near her?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But just a random point. But that was just me being nitpicky. So according to Patricia's mother, she was a witness to the ceremony, and Patricia's mother also said that Patricia had a baby later that year in August of 1969.
Okay.
So who is Donald Grant, and where is this baby? So Donald Grant is a phony. And there were
Donald Grant is not real.
He's not real. Well, he actually is. Hold, please.
Oh, wow.
There were no records matching his name or birth date.
Okay.
There were also no record of his parents, who were listed, like, he wrote them on the marriage license, having a child named Donald Grant in Pittsburgh. Like, these people just didn't exist, or they existed elsewhere. You know, right? Like, why? I didn't realize identity theft was so common. Like, I guess it was more common before there was, like, so much, like, internet stuff. But, like, Jesus Christ.
Like, this is wild.
Extreme identity theft.
And even, like, her stepbrother, the fact that he had, like, could just, like, falsify all of his degrees.
You know, literally, he changed identities twice,
like,
as far as we know.
I'm an engineer. What else did he have? Just, like,
some other degree, I don't know, accounting maybe. Okay, so while there's no Donald Grant from Pittsburgh with these parents matching his birth date or any of that, there was a Donald Grant born in Ohio on February 28th of 1937. This birthday is also coincidentally a day before the birth date listed for Patricia's husband. However, this Donald Grant, who was born in Ohio, died as a baby.
Okay.
Making it very easy for someone to have stolen his identity.
Yeah.
So likely, whoever Patricia's husband was took the identity of Donald Grant in Ohio. Ohio also happens to be, like, it was an area of Ohio very close to Pittsburgh, so it all kind of, like,
meshes
lined
together.
Up. Yeah. So the only true fact about this man was his address that was listed on the marriage license. And his address was listed as 301 West 46th Street, which is the location of the scene and where Patricia's body was found.
Mic drop right there.
Yeah. I would drop it, but it took us so long to get it situated like that.
It did take us quite a second to get this set up.
So they go to look to confirm this address, and a phone directory found that his address, like, this was his address in 1969. However, he didn't live there in 1968 or in 1970, so just for that 1 year. His occupation was also listed as a musician, which could potentially also connect into the scene.
That makes sense.
However, the scene closes in 1969. Also in 1969, Patricia likely is killed, and the scene closes, and this guy disappears from public record.
Wow. That's just wild. So it all connects and makes sense to an extent. But, like, who is this guy?
So other than this information, like, police have been able to like not figure out anything else about him. Like, this is all they have. So after, like, 1969, like, they can't find any record of him. So he likely, I mean, if he's, like, you know, changing names and shit, like, he's probably under some other identity.
Like a pseudonym.
Or, like, he stole some other baby's identity. I don't know. But, like, where is this guy? Like,
where is he and where's the baby?
He's absolutely considered a person of interest in this case.
Where's the baby?
And so, as far as the baby goes, it is suspected that the child was likely given up for adoption shortly after they were born. Because it was the 1960s, like, private kind of, like, sketchy adoptions were a lot more common. Like, it was a lot more common for, like, people, like, a teenager to have a baby and, like, sell it to a rich couple.
And it could be all done, like, under the carpet.
Under the carpet? What the fuck expression was that?
Under the rug?
Under the table.
Under the table, not under the carpet.
I think brush it under the rug. That, like, is an expression too. Shove it under the carpet. Just making up expressions.
This has been done under the carpet.
But yeah, it was a lot easier then, I think, to, like, you know, have adoptions that were not official or not, like, have official documents where basically she was like, here's my baby. Keep it. Or if Donald Grant was like, here's the baby, give me money. that was a lot more, there was no records, really. Clearly, because everyone was able to just steal people's identities.
Yeah, obviously things were a lot looser back then.
Yeah, exactly. So it is very possible that Patricia's son or daughter is just like out there somewhere and has no idea about their connection to this case.
They might not even know they're adopted.
They might not even know they're adopted, which is nuts.
That's insane.
And like at this point, they're like a full adult.
Yeah.
They were born in 1969.
See, here my mom was born. They're like in their 50s.
Yeah.
Wild.
I know. So there is just still so much unknown information about the disappearance and murder of Patricia McGlone. So if you have any information about her case or the identity of her husband or the whereabouts of her half-brother or any other information related to her or the case or just any of it, anybody that may know something, please contact NYPD Crime Stoppers at 800-577-8477. Any information you may have is helpful. And make sure to tune in next month for another new episode. In the meantime, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at tgic.podcast. Bye!
Bye.